have been requesting. I have my brother Johnny, who is a Bengals fan. I'm still a little bit sorry about what happened in the Super Bowl, but he is on today to be answering your guys' questions and answering some of my questions about the Super Bowl. We've obviously talked off camera a lot about the Super Bowl since it's happened, but you guys have been asking questions in the comments about, how does he feel? Are they going to get back to the Super Bowl? All this and that. So this is your chance to be able to, ask in the comments and interact with him because, he's a cool guy. He's a good Bengals fan. So this is your chance to be able to interact with him. But before I get into this, Johnny, is there anything you want to say to these Rams fans? Anything that you have on your mind that you want to get out onto the internet?
Man, it was a good game. It was a close game. I thought we were definitely going to win it, but was it the last 2 minutes or something like that? Guys put together that great run.
Yeah.
But if anyone's going to do it, it's Cooper Kupp. I like that guy a lot. I still really like that guy. So Cooper Kupp, I'm happy if it was anybody, it'd be him.
Yeah.
And Matthew Stafford, so.
Yeah, for sure. He still even doesn't really get talked about enough. People are still not talking about him as a top quarterback. So hopefully eventually he'll get that respect. But first, let's say hi to some of the people in the comments here. We have Justin. He says, I just got a Devontae Adams jersey. Ooh. That's awesome. I assume you're a Raiders fan because that looks like Josh Jacobs on there. Hopefully that will come in soon. You'll be able to try it on. Willie Bowen says Tyler Higbee should have a lot of reception yardage and touchdowns. I hope so. He'll definitely be healthier this season, so I think he'll get more production there. What's your bro?
What's up, I think?
Yeah, what's up, bro? We are repeating. What do you have to say about that, Johnny?
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Jade Sports says, hi, you guys look identical. I mean, we kind of, yeah. As far as in the family, we can kind of see a lot of differences, but everybody says that, so I don't know, we're just going along with it. Rams Nation, or Station says, we're going to do business like we do for our lifetime. Victor says, going to the Bills-Rams game, let's go. Oh, that's awesome. I know it's an expensive game, but I really want to go to that game for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you everybody who's coming in here and watching. If you have any questions for Johnny, you can let him know. He'll answer definitely as honestly as he can. I have some questions for him too, though, that you guys can just kind of see live. My first obvious question is, do you think that not the Rams, the Bengals will have a Super Bowl hangover, or do you think that they'll get back to it? Like, how do you see next season going?
I think they're definitely. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another winning season out of them.
Yeah.
Winning record, but I think getting to the playoffs again should be doable.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never seen my team in real life go to the Super Bowl because the last time they went was 30 years ago. 30 years ago. So this was the first time I've ever seen it. In my head, I think we have all the weapons and with Joe Burrow, he's just he's the guy who's going to lead the team.
Yeah.
I don't really have any concerns about him, but I just don't know how this affects the team. And we saw how it affected the Chiefs. They looked pretty bad the beginning of this year, but then they picked it up. So I have no idea, but I know we got the weapons to overcome that, but we'll see what happens.
And it's crazy to me still that they got there with such a young team. And with Burrow, that was technically his rookie season because he was injured for a lot of his first year. So it's still technically his first season. And I've heard him say that he's going into the year he wasn't expecting a Super Bowl, not in a bad way, but he just didn't see that.
Yeah.
And so it's just still impressive to me. And they gave us a run for our money. In that third quarter, I really thought we were gonna lose it, and then there was that interception off of Skoronek's hands. I was getting really worried, but it's gonna be fun to see what they can do this year. The Rams only play them in the preseason, and so we could see another Super Bowl matchup, but that would be about it. I have a question though. How do you see the Bengals offense looking with the new offensive line that they brought in?
Yeah.
Brought in, I think, 3 offensive linemen, right?
Yeah.
How do you see the offense looking with them? Because Burrow was obviously running for his life for most of the year.
Yeah, I'm really excited because as we talked about, we already know how good Burrow is under pressure, but seeing him with protection, I haven't really seen that. There's only been a couple of games where he's had all the time in the world, and when he has those games, he just pops off.
Yeah.
So I'm super, super excited about that. But then we're also mentioning with Joe Mixon, our running back, he doesn't have to find the holes anymore if the front line can just provide those holes for him, so he can have even bigger games than he has already.
Yeah.
So I'm just excited about everything. Just the time that Burrow will have, the plays that we can actually run, the longer developing plays we can put in there, and just the bombs to chase. It's just gonna be really cool.
Those were crazy to see.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, what would you say is the weakest point on the Bengals team heading into this season, if you can point your finger at anyone? Because they have a strong team for sure.
Yeah, I think right now their offense looks good. It depends on how it all comes together. Sometimes if you get 3 like pretty good offensive linemen, doesn't mean they're gonna work well together.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not super worried about that right now because anything is gonna be better than last season. So I would look at the defense then,
Mm-hmm.
and I would say like our defensive line or our cornerbacks are probably like our weakest
Eli
points.
Apple.
Yeah, we got some pretty good linebackers, I would say, with Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt and stuff. And then we have obviously Trey Hendrickson as our our main guy on the defensive line. But aside from that, it's not anybody like elite or anything.
Yeah.
And then our cornerbacks were letting up like quite a few plays like the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
So just like areas like that. And we just got rid of Jesse Bates too. We tried to franchise tag him. He didn't want it. So we don't have Jesse Bates anymore at safety. So just probably, probably cornerbacks and safeties maybe. And then
Yeah, I can see that.
yeah.
Okay, so I want to think of a question. One of the questions that I wanted to know that I haven't asked you yet is, what were your emotions at halftime in the Super Bowl and then in the third quarter of the Super Bowl? Like, were you like, oh, I think we can actually pull this off? Because I'm not sure what your emotions were going into the game, but I don't know if you're super confident, like what you were feeling, but at around halftime, what were you feeling?
It was really weird because, like, as some of you guys know, I work at Domino's. And so I was working at Domino's for the whole first half of the game. I was like, able to get off for halftime. So I was kind of in and out of it. I was trying to watch as much as I could, but I couldn't see a lot of it. But I saw it kind of going back and forth, and I was really, really nervous, like, for the full, like, first half. I was, like, so nervous, and each play felt, like, 10 times bigger because one mistake could lead to, like, you losing the season.
Yeah.
But after halftime, when that controversial T. Higgins pulling Jalen Ramsey's face mask, I don't know, that was kind of weird. Yeah. But after I saw that play, I got super excited, and then we seemed to like kind of control the game for a little bit, but I was still nervous. But I thought like after that, I was kind of like, we might actually have this. But
because I know for me, first with that T. Higgins play, you know how I feel about it. Like I was like, I think that should have been a penalty, but for me, when that play happened, it felt like all the momentum just completely shifted to the Bengals. Like, I could feel it, and, like, all the Rams lost it. Yeah. And then, obviously, that we had injuries all over the roster, everything. I was really worried about that, especially on the offensive side. We only had Kupp. Like, Odell went down. Yeah. Kupp, Skoranek, Jefferson, who was injured through that, and then Higbee wasn't playing. So I was really worried about that. Yeah. And then when Skoranek had to go off his hands and got picked, I was like, are you kidding me? But it was interesting to see that. And then it's still weird to me on the final drive when Donald like threw Burrow down, like it wasn't a sack, but it was close to it and ended the game. I still thought that was a third down, so it was kind of an interesting Super Bowl. But we had to stay in separate rooms to watch the Super Bowl because it was just like too tense. We couldn't be in the same room together. But we have Jared Ramirez saying, I think he's saying this to you, sir, your team's championship win will one day happen with that talented QB. Yeah, I hope so. Like, I think it will. It was just like getting that close, and seeing that like within, I forgot, it was either 5 minutes or like 2 minutes, like we would have won. But then you guys just put together really good like drive. So it was just like having it in our hands and losing it was like super hard. But yeah, it was close the whole game. Yeah, I still don't know what would have happened if we had Odell the whole time because he was going off. But it really was. I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening with that. Let's see. I promise I won't get mad. Is what somebody says in the comments. Rams run it back. What's up, Jared? This is my favorite shirt too. Too much coffee, not enough donuts. How many quarterback sacks Bobby Wagner, Aaron Donald, and Leonard Floyd may have? That's a tough one to say. Like as far as like combined sacks all together, I'm thinking that Donald will have over 13 sacks because he's getting that around every year, and so I think that's a safe bet to say. I think Floyd will have 10 or 11. Wagner, I'm guessing, will have 4, so that's almost 30 sacks, I would say. Yeah. I don't know though. That's a tough question. Yeah. Again, if you guys have any questions for Johnny, you can definitely let him know in the comments. This is your time to ask, so that I don't have to answer for him. Let me say this: what do you think, as far as the touchdowns to interception ratio, will be for Joe Burrow heading into this season? I need to look up what it was this year. Let's see. I think I can. Because at the beginning of the year, he had so many interceptions, and I was really worried because he was throwing like 1 or 2 a game. But then in the last 8 games, he had 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So let's see.
and so he really cleaned it up at the end, including like the playoffs. He only had 2 picks in the last 8 games.
So it says 34 touchdowns to 14 picks.
Which doesn't look bad in the second half, but in the first half he had 12 picks in the first 8 games, or first 9 or whatever it was. So I think he's starting to clean it up. He's starting to learn a little bit more. And again, like he's barely played 1.5 seasons. Like the first one kind of doesn't even really count. So I feel like he'll have more TDs for sure. I would say like 40 touchdowns or more to hopefully like 8 or 9 interceptions. That'd be like pretty cool.
I can definitely see that.
Especially with the protection he has now, he doesn't have to rush like as much, hopefully. So
yeah, and it's scary to think that he's only getting better. Like,
I know, I'm so excited.
Last year it seemed like he was just like a veteran or somebody who'd been playing the league for like 6-7 years. But I just keep forgetting that was like only a second year barely. Yeah. And so like it's kind of scary to think that he's only gonna get better and smarter and everything. But he's definitely a great competitor.
Yeah.
Jared Ramirez says AFC has Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and now Russell Wilson just landed there. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? The AFC got so much stronger. The NFC for me is a lot weaker. It's just like the Packers, you have to worry about 49ers, Cowboys arguably, and the Bucks.
49ers aren't even a team.
Yeah, I know, right? They're a team that can't give out contracts. They can't beat anyone.
I forgot they were there. It's kind of crazy. I actually like the competition now that we have a capable team. I think it'll be a good way to test them. And the stronger teams you face in like the regular season, and if you make it to the postseason, you're going to be really battle tested. So I do like that now that we have capable people. If you had asked me like a couple of years ago, or even like 3 years ago or whatever, when we had like Andy Dalton and I don't know, it's just we just didn't have a complete team. It was just kind of like a couple good players here and there. AJ Green, Andy Dalton was iffy, but I would just be like, oh no, more people in the AFC. But I think we can hang with them now, so it's definitely gonna be scary watching the games and like for seeding and everything.
The
like
blood
that.
pressure.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy, but I think it's actually gonna make it really exciting though.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people always want like whenever the Rams schedule releases, they're always like, oh, I wish we had an easy schedule and stuff like that. But I'm like, no, like you're only getting tested if you're playing harder teams throughout the season, and it makes you better, especially if you're losing some of those games. It makes you better for the playoffs. So I'd take that, but
it's still scary watching it though because you want to win every single game. So
well, like even last year, it was so many teams in the AFC had like almost the same record, and it was like the 6th seed was really good, but like they had the same record. So I think it's gonna be fun to watch, all the competitiveness and everything. I hope it's gonna be like the Bills, the Bengals, and the Broncos as like the top teams of the AFC, because I just don't want the Chiefs in there at all.
The Chiefs, which we beat them twice. Yeah, I mean, undefeated against them.
No big deal or anything like that.
No big deal.
Jared Ramirez, Unknown Brick says Rams have the better chance than the Bengals. Looking at the AFC and the NFC is weaker for sure, which helps out the Rams. It's weaker, and like you said, like we'll probably have a better record, and then like if we get to the playoffs, but I think when we get to the playoffs, we'll have like easier opponents. But again, it helps to be tested that way. So it's hard with the Bengals because like any of the games that they play in the AFC, it's like if they make one little mistake, it could come back to beat them. Like with the Bills and the Chiefs game, only 13 seconds. Like that wasn't really even a mistake, and the Bills lost. So it's like a small margin for error. Let's see. NFC now what? Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, and other. There's not a lot of QB talent left, which I'm fine with.
Because it was pretty difficult there for a while. I remember you telling me about like seeding and stuff and trying to get in the playoffs for a couple of years, and you're telling me that there were so many people with like, I think there was like at one point in the season they were all 12-3 or something like that, and so you had to beat out like the Packers and the
Saints were good too because they had Breeze.
Yeah,
there was a lot of good competitors, but
I guess it switches.
Yeah,
but.
Let's see. What was the reaction between you guys when the Rams won 4th down, or on the 4th down 80 stop? Well, I'll start for me at least. For me it was really weird because it was like I was watching upstairs and then Johnny's watching in the middle floor because we just couldn't be in the same room.
Yeah.
And so I was like hearing his reactions and stuff, and I was like, I can't be like too loud or anything. Like I don't want to hurt his feelings by like doing that. And then I was just kind of paying attention to that. And when Donald made that run stop, like I think it was P. Ryan running up the middle, and he stopped him like a yard short, I thought that would have made it a 3rd down. And so the 4th down play I thought was 3rd down. So when Donald, threw Burrow down, it was just incomplete. I was like, why are they all celebrating? There's still another down to go. And then my dad was like, no, it's over. So it was really weird to me because it was like, usually I'm ready for those moments. I'm like, come on, this is a big play you have to make. But for me, I was just like really confused. I was like, why is he celebrating? Because I just thought it was a third down. But what did you think, Johnny?
I didn't like it. So I was like watching in the middle floor. Yeah, I was watching in the middle floor, and I was just kind of seeing. I just saw how much time was left on the clock, and I just know what Matthew Stafford could do. And then they went back to their like game plan because I think you told me that the game plan was around Odell for the Super Bowl. So they went back to Cooper Kupp, which they should have been doing the whole game, after Odell went out, in my opinion. And then you just like see what they do like all like season, and then I just knew what was kind of like imminent to happen. So it happened, and I was just kind of seeing it slowly but surely. I was seeing like the Super Bowl just go away pretty much. And so then on that last play, like first the P run, that was so close. Like, and then Donald made a great tackle, but then like just had no time on the last play, and I was just kind of like, that's just a sucky way to end the whole season. And so I just like I was just staring at the TV. And everyone was kind of like looking at me, like not knowing what to say, because I'd never been that invested into a sports game ever. Just looking at the TV, and then I just like went downstairs, took a shower, and went to bed.
Yeah, that's the right way to do it. Just sleep it off, or you can cry in the shower too, because nobody knows. Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, it's the worst thing when you're seeing like slowly but surely a team coming back to win, and like you almost know what's gonna happen, but you have to sit there just in case.
Yeah.
Like the 49ers did that to us in week 17. I think we were up 17-3.
Yeah.
They ended up coming back, and then they brought it to overtime. They had such a long drive and ended up scoring, and then obviously I think you remember Stafford tried to go deep to Odell and it was picked off because it was short.
Yeah.
It's such a hard way because I saw them coming back the whole time and just had to painfully watch it. But when it's a Super Bowl, it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's another thing because the Patriots one was hard for me to watch, but we only put up 3 points, so it's like...
That was such a weird one.
Yeah. Let's see. Don't sleep on the LA Chargers in the AFC West. What do you think about them, Johnny? The Chargers?
Chargers...
Herbert?
I just don't like the comparisons between Burrow and Herbert. Every time there's a post about Burrow, people say Herbert's better. Every time there's a post about like Herbert, they say Burrow's better. And there's always a competition, which I get into sometimes because I'm like, no, Burrow's better. But Herbert's really talented, and he's like, I don't know, they got a really good team right now. So I think we played them only once. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this last year, and we got beat by them pretty bad.
That was a weird game.
It was, and then I think like Joe even like hurt his finger or something like that. Yeah. He was dealing with that and all that. But anywho, like they have a really good team, but I think like again, the more complete the Bengals become, like I don't really worry about other teams too much.
Yeah. Herbert. Yeah, you should just do a full-on Joe Burrow impression in front of everyone.
Yeah, I should.
You need something. And like Herbert hasn't even made the playoffs yet with like arguably a better team, so we'll see about the debates.
He gave it all out against the Raiders. That was a great game.
Oh, the Raiders. Rams will repeat. Will be even better than last season. I'm not gonna say that. He's saying the Bengals will miss the playoffs. I don't know what you think about that.
Well, no. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, I don't know. Like the Rams repeating is, I would say, a pretty high chance because their team just seems to get better every year. I don't know how it's possible. Like even with all like the superstars they have, like going into this Super Bowl, I was scared because they were obviously a super team, and the Bengals aren't a super team, but they got really good players on there. Mm-hmm. So I was already worried, but now it's like they got Bobby Wagner too, and like all that stuff. So Allen Robinson's gonna be crazy. So I don't know. They definitely have a good chance of repeating, but not until the Bengals have something to say about it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think that I think only 7 teams have repeated in NFL history in like 56 Super Bowls. So it's definitely hard, but I think what the Rams did in the offseason is they got better at spots that they weren't very good at or they're lacking. Like linebacker has been their worst spot for years. Yeah. Like Littleton was really good when we had him. But
remember that Madden game?
Yeah, the one-hand pick six.
Yeah.
But yeah, Littleton was good, but then when he left, it was just like practice squad guys playing at linebacker. So we got better at that with the Hall of Famer. So now we have Pro Bowlers at every level of the defense, first off. And then Robinson brings something to the offense that we haven't had. Like, Odell's the closest comparison to him because he can go up and get it. He has great hands and everything. But he was playing injured last year, and like he couldn't do as much as you would want him to do. And so I think Robinson's going to be fun. Let's see. they play it in the preseason, but this game will be meaningless. Better than them playing in the season when it counts. Yeah, I think the Bengals will play their starters because it's like there's very few teams that play or that don't play their starters like the Rams.
Yeah.
The Rams are one of the few teams, but I think the Bengals will, unless Zach Taylor decides not to because he used to be on the Rams staff. Let's see. The Chargers always have talent and can never win. Yeah, they always kind of like choke it away.
Yeah.
Let's see. Unknown Brick says, I don't know, man. Burrow or Herbert? That's a good question, but I'm glad that I got both their rookie cards.
Nice.
Ooh, that's awesome. Let's see. They screwed up in the scheduling. Jared Ramirez says, a friend of mine who's a Chargers fan, from what I see from his view, he looks to be a very patient to wait for his team to win it all one day.
That's a good way
Yeah.
of looking at it.
Let's see. Whoa, it's scrolling down fast. The Rams are going to be a dynasty. We'll win 3 rings in 5 years. I mean, I'm not going to say no to that. I don't know what Johnny has to say about it, but let's see. Do you think, Unknown Brick says, do you think the acquisition of Bobby Wagner overpowers the loss of Von Miller? Well, yeah, I get this question a lot. I think it honestly is, and I'm not just saying that because it's like I'm biased and I want the Rams to win. But like I was talking about, you improved the worst spot that teams have been targeting for years, like especially the 49ers. That's like the position that they would target every time we played them. And they would intentionally run at Troy Reader because he couldn't make the tackles, or they would intentionally stress him out by doing these trick plays and stuff like that. But with Wagner, he's seen it all, and he's actually has a really good record against the 49ers, and he doesn't miss tackles. So I think you're getting better at your weakest position on the defense and arguably on the whole team. While on the position where Von Miller was playing, we have Justin Hollins, who was playing super good before Von Miller got here, just that he got injured. So people forget about what he can do, but I think it's good because you get younger at the position, you get cheaper, but you also get better. And then we were able to get 2 players from we were able to acquire 2 players from what we lost in Von Miller rather than just keeping 1 player and paying him a lot when he's getting older. Let's see. Big Play Slay says, what's up, gentlemen? How you doing, Rams House? I'm doing pretty good. It's fun to do these streams with my brother. Let's see. This is kind of old, but there was like rumors about an AD retiring, and he's like still in this, and he's still in his prime. Yeah, he was talking, or obviously he re-signed or restructured his contract, so he's going to be here at least another 2 years, which is good for us. Kind of bad for Johnny, but it's good for us. I think you're just doing that to get more money, honestly. I'm not sure. But he did win a Super Bowl, so he could have gone out on top. I don't know why these scroll down so fast.
Is it when another one comes in?
I don't know. It's like I try to scroll and it goes fast. Vaughn was washed up and was only good because of AD. Vaughn really only had a couple good games. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's as good as he used to be, but he was still really good. And he would always come up in the clutch. Like, he could be, like, you couldn't see him for a whole game, but then when it mattered most, he would come up and make the big plays.
Yeah.
And so I respected Vaughn for what he did. I just wish he could have stayed. Big Play Slay says, go Birds. On a side note, Nick Foles is in the AFC team now again. Justin says, I got Devontae Adams jersey. Yeah, I hope that it's a good one. Hopefully it fits well because I think you're a Raiders fan, but hopefully, he'll do good for your team pairing up with his college teammate. Let's see. Herbert or Burrow? Herbert.
Depends on what you're looking at, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I've seen more of Burrow, and so I would take him. I think you could argue that he's more talented, like as far as what he can do with his arm. But I really like what Burrow can do as far as his competitiveness, like in his edge that he has to him. It's like he'll just keep coming at you, which we saw in the Super Bowl. So it's like I'd take that in playoff success.
I feel like Herbert is, like you said, has like more talent and like more like arm impressiveness or whatever you want to call it.
Deep ball and
but Burrow I feel like has better smarts, and especially for how little time he's been in the league, he's already made it to the Super Bowl in 1.5 years.
Yeah.
And so I think like smarts and just grit for Burrow, and then Herbert is he's just crazy. I don't know.
Stafford has another year in this offense to learn the playbook. Scary. Yeah, a lot of people don't talk about that. Like, I know that Brady like switched teams and he won in his first year with the Bucks, which is definitely good. But like with Stafford, he's being doubted. He had all this pressure on him, dealing with injuries throughout the season, and he still was able to look that good and have that much chemistry with Cooper Kupp. It's just like it's crazy to think of what he can do in his second year.
Yeah.
Let's see. Are you an Eagles fan? Big Play Slay. Oh yeah, I think he is. Rams will be 14-3 this year. As long as Stafford stays healthy, we'll go back to back. Yeah, I could see 14-3. They have a really hard schedule, actually. We'll come back to these comments in a little bit, but I actually want to ask Johnny what are his top 5 games this year. So we'll look up the schedule.
Oh, so the two ones that come to mind are the Chiefs. The ones against the Chiefs, I loved those games. Like,
Wait, will you be playing them this year? Again?
I want to say yes, but I'm actually not sure.
The Rams played the Chiefs this year. We know what happened last time they did that. That was fun.
Yeah. It was just awesome because the Chiefs are such a crazy team, but like, I don't know, seeing the Bengals rally back from a 14-point deficit and like a 17-point deficit both times, especially the playoff one, like those were like my favorite games like of the year by far. I hated the Titans one in the playoffs. That scared me a lot. Just Burrow got hit so many times.
Okay, this is a better view.
What other games I like? I loved the Ravens ones. Everyone's like saying that they had a banged up secondary, and that's why Burrow had that many yards. And it's true. Like he definitely took advantage of that, but that's just how the game is. So I love seeing Burrow hit 525 passing yards. And I think it was the second Ravens game. Mm-hmm. That one was a lot of fun. And let's see what else. It was like mainly just like the Chiefs ones I really enjoyed. But the ones coming up.
How about, I was going to say, for the ones this upcoming season, which ones are your top 5, top 3? Because I know it's hard to name your just favorite on all of them, like number 1, but if you could pick multiple ones.
I'm excited. I think we play the Bills, and
ooh, that will be good.
It's going to be a really good game. I like the Bills a lot. Josh Allen's really cool, but they're really like dangerous. So I don't know if we're going to win that one just because they're really tough, but I'm excited for that one. Chiefs one I'm also excited about because like who knows what'll happen. They're gonna want to win because we beat them twice. Jamar just went off. The Browns I'm excited. We just keep losing against the Browns. They run so well against us. Like it's so frustrating. So I'm hoping we can win one of those. And then the Patriots against Mac Jones is gonna be really interesting. I'm really excited about the Bucs because there's a lot of like comparisons between Joe Burrow and Tom Brady and how they're very similar. And I'm just, like, that'll be so exciting to see. So, yeah, that's probably my top is, like, Bills, Chiefs, Browns, Patriots, and Bucs.
Yeah, I think those will be really good. I did think if I had to name my favorite one on the upcoming schedule is probably the Bills, like you said. Nice. I can't wait to see the Rams one of that, but I also can't wait to see the Bengals because I think it could be high scoring. Then you'll play Vonnie again. And I don't know. I feel like so it's a home game. So you won't have to be playing in the cold, which is good.
Nice.
But I think that one will be really fun. The Bucs, I feel like Burrow can beat the Bucs.
I think so.
He's beaten a lot of good teams, but we've played ever since Brady got there. We haven't lost to him, even with Goff. And so I think as long as Zach Taylor draws up right, I think that they're gonna be able to beat them. What's your record prediction for this season? You can go game by game if you want, or you can just go based on this view.
I think. Again, barring a Super Bowl hangover, that would suck. Like, if we're just playing like we were, like, last year or even, like, almost like we were last year, we got some better pieces this year. So, I want to say we can definitely beat, I think we were 10-7. I think we can beat that. We can probably go, like, 11 or 12 wins, I want to say. I don't know if we can hit the 13. That'd be really hard. 13-4.
I could see it happening though. I don't know.
It might. I just think there's so much stuff that goes into it, and like each game, there's just those games you can't win. It just seems like everything goes against you. So I want to say like at least, I'm hoping for like 12-5.
Yeah. That'd
be really cool. Or 11-6 would even be cool. But.
Okay, so we have more questions here. Unknown Brick says AD or LT. I'm always going to go with Donald just because I've been able to watch him. I wasn't really able to watch Lawrence Taylor because he was before I was born or anything like that. But I just feel like what Donald's doing at this time and like the way offenses have changed and everything and doing it at that interior defensive lineman position, I'm going to go with him. But I don't know. It's kind of unfair to judge when you haven't really like watched all the games of Lawrence Taylor too. What's your opinion on Joe Noteboom at left tackle? I actually really like it. I think he's really underrated, and every time he's been like asked to step up through injuries and everything, he's played really good. He played in that Bucs playoff game in place of Andrew Whitworth, and he played really, really well. I don't even know if he let up a sack against the Bucs too. So I'm really excited for him, and I'm glad that we're able to bring him back because it just kind of shows the confidence that the Rams have in him. Let's see. Wish the Rams stayed in St. Louis, but no matter what, I've always been a Rams fan. Yeah, I felt that way when they moved at first, and I still like the St. Louis stuff, like you see, like on the wall and everything. But I think if we didn't move to Los Angeles, we wouldn't have won a Super Bowl because first, I think the management would have stayed, because it's just like a smaller market, not as big as expectations. And so then you probably have Aaron Donald getting frustrated and leaving because they're just not winning anything. Like McVay turned it around in his first year, which is crazy. And I think he came to our team because it was a bigger market, bigger opportunities, and we've been able to do so much more, bring in more players because a lot of players don't want to come to St. Louis compared to if they would want to come to LA. So it's been able to make our team better, but also given us more opportunities to win Super Bowls. And I really like the uniforms too. So I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on it, but I think that we wouldn't have won a Super Bowl if we stayed there, at least in the amount of time we did here. Let's see. NFC West looks much easier without Russell Wilson. Yeah, I feel like Wilson's like the reason that the Seahawks were good because I realized after a little bit that like the Seahawks really aren't a scary team. It's just Russell Wilson and like him keeping his team in the games and making the big plays.
Let's ride.
Let's ride. It's still such a funny video. Let's see. Who do you think is going to the Super Bowl? I'll give Johnny the floor for this one first.
Oh, I don't know. Everything with all the moves that happen and like the off-season trades and I don't know. Everything's so different now. So I don't know. I could probably tell you better who's like in the playoffs, but I think the Rams are still a really strong candidate for the NFC to get there. The Packers, I just don't see it anymore because like they get to the playoffs every year and then they just lose. Now they don't have Devontae Adams, so they're not really like too big of an issue. I think the Rams are just the strongest team, so I could see them getting there again. And then for the AFC, obviously, like I hope the Bengals get there. I just need to see how they play after losing in the Super Bowl. But I could see the Bills a lot, and I could also see. I could honestly see like the Broncos, but I don't know. I just don't think you see what Matthew Stafford did very often.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback going to a new team and taking him to the Super Bowl. Like I just don't think that's. So I could see Rams and Bills.
Yeah.
I'll just say that.
Yeah, for me, I was gonna say the same thing. I feel like it's kind of like a popular pick, but I feel like the Bills have a really strong team in that, like even with the experience that they've gotten in the playoffs and Josh Allen getting better, and just retaining guys and adding more people to their team, I feel like they have a good chance at going there. I still like selfishly think the Rams are gonna get there. Again, like 49ers are our biggest, like our toughest opponent in my opinion in the NFC, just because they've been able to beat us so many times. But first off, you have Trey Lance starting, who's barely had any experience in the college and barely anything in the NFL. He only played like 1 or 2 games. So he's going to be really raw. I think he'll be good in the future, but as far as like this year, I don't really know if he'll be super good or not. And then we improved the spot that they attacked the most, which is the linebacker position, and we were able to figure out how to beat them in the playoffs last year. So I feel like the Rams will make it there, the Bills. I was about to say the Jaguars. I could see the Bengals making it there again too, especially with more protection for Burrow. I don't know. I feel like I don't see Burrow being the type of quarterback to like let his team go through Super Bowl hangover. It just seems like he just has the winning mentality.
Just the other players, because I agree. I don't think Burrow's like gonna be affected too much by it. I think it's gonna motivate him, but it just depends on how the rest of the team gets affected by it.
Let's see. Rams versus Bills have to be one of the top 3. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Let's see. I know Rodgers and Mahomes are good, but for them to be in the Super Bowl contenders, they need receivers since they both lost Tyreek and Devontae. Yeah, I agree. All that Rodgers did was target Devontae. He wouldn't really do anything else. Let's see. The LA Rams will be winning more Super Bowl championships. Imagine Chargers versus Bills in the AFC Championship game. That would be interesting, but I'd want to see the Bengals and the Bills too. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll pull for the LA Chargers, Jared. Since 2021, the Bengals hosted the Jacksonville Jaguars, my friends down in Duval County, Florida. Do you think the Buccaneers could make it back to the playoffs without Gronk?
Yeah, but I don't know. Like Gronk was kind of iffy. Like at the end, like he definitely made a big impact, but just with like how he was moving and stuff, he just seemed like an old man kind of.
Yeah, and definitely past his prime for sure.
Yeah, he's still like a big impactor, but I mean it's Tom Brady. Like if even without Gronk, he's gonna find a way. Like if he needs to. So, I don't know. Definitely the play. Yeah, I would say definitely the playoffs. They definitely.
Especially in a weak NFC, I don't see them getting the 8th seed. Like not even making it. Like
No,
I don't think that the Eagles will make it above them. And sorry, big play slate if you're still in here. What's the best Super Bowl win to you? The 1999 Rams or the current Rams? Well, for me, it's probably the most recent Super Bowl. Just because I was actually able to watch it because I wasn't born. I was born in 2004, so I wasn't able to see the Super Bowl. So I wasn't able to like feel the emotions and everything, and really be involved in it. Like I can go back and watch it, but it's like it doesn't hold the same energy.
Yeah.
But I think if I were to see it, I would probably say the 1999 one because they literally stopped them on the one, and like it was such a good finish. But I just wasn't there to witness it in like real time. The three smart guys, McVay, Snead, and Kroenke. Yeah, I feel like we have like the best, I don't know, like the best management in the NFL because like we have the guys who are aggressive enough to make the moves. Like if they see an average spot on the team, even if it's not a huge weakness, they still go out to try and improve it. Or even if we have a great position group, they still are like, oh, this guy's available, let's go get him.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I like how aggressive we are for sure. Let's see. In 2000, the Rams beating the Titans in the Super Bowl 34 with the American underdog Kurt Warner. Yeah, I think that would have been such a good one to actually watch. But obviously, like I said, I wasn't born, so I know that my dad really liked that Super Bowl. But all I've been able to do is really watch highlights of it, which it just doesn't really hold the same weight. This is a good question. I don't know if you'll actually be able to think through all the plays, so there's a lot of them, but what was your favorite play from the Bengals season? Or you could say top 3 plays.
So there's a few that come to mind. The first one is Jamar Chase against the Ravens when he did the slant, spun off like in the middle of 3 guys and took it to the house. That was awesome. I was like, it was so electrifying to see that, and just to like see him like develop. That was really cool. Another one is just both the plays against the Chiefs that Jamar got. But there was one in particular where he was kind of doing like, I don't know if it was like a tendon or something. Mm-hmm. Caught the ball and there was all these Chiefs running downhill and he just did one back juke and then took that to the house. Just like nobody thought he was gonna get it. I didn't even think he was gonna get it and he got that. And then I would say like probably like defensively, just all the picks I saw in the playoffs were really cool and really timely. So those are probably the top 3.
Yeah, it's really hard to pinpoint ones because there's so many bombs to chase.
It was so fun to watch.
Yeah, it was like you would see that at least once every game.
Yeah.
And so it's like always so hard to pick between them.
I know.
Because for me, like some of the top plays, I'm not going to rank them because it's just so hard. Like I would have to go back and watch the season again.
Yeah.
But I think the Cooper Kupp against the Bucks play, like for the love of the game route that he did and caught that deep one after the comeback, that was probably my favorite play of the whole season. Like either that one or the first touchdown that Stafford threw, because it was like his first or second throw. He threw it like 60 yards to Jefferson for a touchdown. Bang. Yeah, and so I would probably say the Cup one in the Bucks game, that's definitely up there. It's probably my number 1 play, even over the Super Bowl, because like even though we won it, I still kind of felt bad, like that Johnny, like he was on the losing end because I know how that feels. So it was like I felt bad if I was celebrating or I felt bad, you know,
in your face.
Yeah, just for like feeling really good about it. So the Bucks one is definitely up there with Cooper Kupp. I really liked Van Jefferson's play. There's so many good plays. I also like the deep one with Jefferson against the Cardinals, but I really did like that one against the Ravens. I think, the Ravens when we were kind of trailing the whole game, then Odell had the game-winning touchdown. That was a really good one. So many good plays. Peo Time says, "Hey Ramley, what's up, Peo Time?"
It's Peo Time.
Definitely, if you guys have not subscribed to him, I don't really know why you wouldn't be, but if you haven't been subscribed to Peo Time, definitely go head over there. It's a good guy and a great content creator too, for sure, for the Rams.
Amen.
Let's see. Peo Time says, "Just got that here. I was working out." Oh, hopefully you got some good reps in there, Peo.
So strong.
Yeah, I know. Let's see. What's up, Peo? It says Willie Bowen. I can't pronounce this guy's username, but I can read his comment. He says, "Why hasn't there been more coverage on the Rams in the offseason with all our new additions? Everywhere I look on YouTube is all about the Bucks, Bills, Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson news." Well, I feel like the Rams, like, they've gotten more attention since they moved to LA, like, as far as the media goes, but they've never really been a team that gets a lot of it or, like, a lot of praise. It's like, in my opinion, I feel like media kind of chooses favorites on who they like. That's like with quarterbacks or with like different positions or teams or and everything. Cowboys are always being talked about. The Packers are always being talked about like going to the Super Bowl. Bucks because Brady's there. He's just always being talked about. And then same thing with quarterbacks and everything. Like Stafford doesn't really get talked about even with what he did in his first year. There's just not a lot of coverage around the Rams or like a lot of praise for it too. So that's kind of one of the big reasons why I started the channel. Let's see. Payout Time says, question, who at the Bengals will lead the team in touchdown receptions in 2022? Sorry if someone asked this already. Nobody asked that yet, Payout Time.
Good question.
I know, he comes up with masterful questions.
He really does. I want to say it's going to be... I think it's going to be Jamar Chase. But if it's not Jamar, it's going to be T. Because T. Higgins is just like, I don't know. I feel like he's really underrated. People started to see how good he was this season. Mm-hmm. And he can just catch like all the 50-50s and stuff. But Chase really surprised me. I was kind of like wondering how he's going to play. And especially like with all the preseason drops, and there's so many questions about how good he could do.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, it was like really kind of stressful as a Bengals fan. I was like, please don't drop them. And, like, but he did really, really well. So I think it's gonna be Chase. But if it's not, it's gonna be T. Higgins.
Because like Chase obviously will get a lot of yards, and but like also people know that he's so good from last season that they're gonna be like playing him better, like probably doubling him. I could definitely see T. Higgins having more. It's just as far as touchdown receptions go, because he's such a big target to hit. Yeah. It can go up and get it. Like I feel like he's a good red zone threat too. Yeah. But I also it's kind of hard because I feel like Joe Burrow really trusts Jamar Chase and just like loves to go to him. So.
Well, what's hard is that we're like our red zone efficiency was pretty bad last year. Even like no matter what the stats would say, there were so many times we were within the 20. Or even like within the 10, it's not going to be a 3 and out. We'd have to take a field goal. So a lot of our touchdowns came from the bombs to Chase or these long like 20+ yard plays. So that's how like I think Jamar got a lot of them. But if we get better like in the red zone with our protection and stuff, hopefully T can get a lot more.
For sure. Yeah, that's the most frustrating thing when you get in the red zone so many times, but you can't convert.
I know, it happens so many times.
Yeah, because I know that in 2020 with Goff, that was happening all the time. We couldn't, for whatever reason, like we didn't have Gurley, so we couldn't have a guy who could just like surely punch it in. Yeah. We had the meatball Henderson, and you know, like we didn't really have that guy to do that. And then for like, it just seemed like we didn't know what to call with Goff because he's like not as talented. Yeah. Let's see. Rampage and Houday are funny mascots because of their faces. Oh, that's right, Kevin Miller. He says game-winning interception against the Whiners. That was definitely a good one. There's so many plays from the season that it's just hard to look back on and like pick your favorites. Yeah,
it was a long season, but a good one.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it was the best season. Yeah, at least in a while. There's a lot of good games. Yeah. Let's see. Hope the Rams do a better job at stopping the run this year and stop in the screenplay as well. And yeah, I think they will be because Bobby Wagner's the best run-stopping middle linebacker in the league. And he's the guy who just doesn't miss tackles. And then when you're talking about having to go through Aaron Donald and A'Shaun Robinson or Greg Gaines, like that's really tough to do. And I think Ernest Jones out there too. He doesn't get talked about enough, and so I think we'll definitely do better against them. And then screens again, Wagner can read those out really well. I think we'll do just so much better in that department. Let's see. I remember when the Rams beating the Titans with Kurt Warner, known as American Underdog. Yeah. Let's see. Whoa. Payo Time says there were some gym bros debating reps versus weight, and it's so funny to hear them passionately debate something so pointless. It's so funny when you hear things like that because it's like either you can resolve it quickly or you just don't talk about it. But I don't know. That's funny. At least you weren't in the fight, Payo Time, because I know that they couldn't take you.
And we all know he does like weight and reps too.
Yeah,
so
for
he does
sure.
Both. Doesn't matter.
Let's see. How talking about the LA Rams beating the crap out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers twice. I'm not really sure what that comment means, but that was definitely fun. Mm-hmm. I think they will win with Bobby Wagner's and Troy Hill back. Yeah, again, Troy Hill isn't being talked about enough. I'm really excited to see what he can do. I think that we'll do a lot better against receivers this year, which is kind of scary to think of, especially when you're talking about Ramsey on your defense already. But I'm definitely really excited to see what they can do. Let's see. Payo Time has another great question. Let's see what it is. Sure. What are the what-ifs for the Bengals from the Super Bowl? Like, I know Rams fans always wonder, what if Goff hits Cooks for the TD against the Patriots?
Yeah, there's a couple. The one I always think about is the whole like Donald like coming through in the very last play. He had no time. We also had like that picture of Chase, like, and it's controversial. People say he was open, people say he wasn't. But if he had more time, it could have been a bomb to Chase to win the game. That one was like the biggest one, but the Logan Wilson pass interference, like within the 10, like made me so angry because Logan Wilson, our linebacker, for people who don't know, did such great coverage on, was it Cooper Cup? Yeah, on Cooper Cup. I was like, yeah, it was on Cooper Cup. He did really good coverage, batted the ball down. He did like a little, I think, hand on the back kind of a stop, and it was just because he was a linebacker. I feel like they called it a pass interference, and it could have gone either way. But then I go back to the Jalen Ramsey thing with T. Higgins when I don't think T. Higgins meant to pull Ramsey's face mask, but it was just kind of there, and he was using it as leverage, and it just happened. So me complaining about that, you guys would complain about that, so it kind of cancels out. But there's just a couple things, but I just have to tell myself, like, there's stuff on the Rams side, too, that is like, if only this happened, we could have had a bigger lead, and so...
There's what-ifs in every game, but the one on your team side is always the ones that you focus on.
Exactly, yeah.
Let's see, favorite Rams player of all time and favorite Bengals player of all time. Okay, so that's tough for me because I know there's a lot of great players, like, in our whole history. It's just, like, it was really tough because I feel like they don't hold the same value when you aren't, like, growing up watching them or, like, able to see them live rather than, like, knowing that they're good, seeing highlights and stuff. Because when I was younger, I really liked Torrey Holt. Like, he was in Madden 08, the game that we used to play, and I don't know, I just really liked him. It's really hard to name, like, a favorite player of all time, though, because, like, I would have to go with, like, more of a modern pick. And it's just, I don't know if I can do that. Like, there's so many players I like. I'll always really like Cup, just because, like, he's a good Christian, obviously, but he's also a great player, really humble, and puts the work in. Donald has done so much for us. So, like, it really depends on the categories for me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you have an answer for that, Johnny?
It's Joe Burrow, baby.
Yeah.
I love this guy. Like, this is because David and I have been talking about getting a jersey for a long time.
Yeah.
And we never pulled the trigger on it just because they were, like, a little bit, I feel like a little pricier than they should be.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I've liked the Bengals for a while, but then as soon as I saw Joe Burrow and just, like, how he changed the culture and just, like, what, like, a hard worker he is and everything, it just, like, I had to get the jersey. Like, I didn't even really think about it too much. So Joe Burrow definitely, like, obviously it's current, recency bias, whatever you want to call it. But I just, like, I've never had, like, the urge to buy a jersey so much, like, than watching Joe Burrow. So
he's going to be with you for a long time. It's not like you traded for him like we did with Stafford. He's going to be there for a while.
I'm super excited. I just can't wait for this next season.
Yeah. What about Chris Collinsworth, though? Is he your He's funny to watch.
When he slides in.
Yeah. Jared Amira says the field goal victory in Tampa Bay was just epic. Yeah, I screamed at the top of my lungs on that. Let's see. Peo Matt Stafford would have stayed in Detroit if Goff would have played well in the 2018 Super Bowl championship. That's what I always think about. Like, if we actually won that Super Bowl, I think at least we would have kept Goff for longer, or I should say, I don't know how to word it, but I think that Goff would have stayed, if not for, like, the rest of his career, or it would have taken a lot longer to trade him because you look at his numbers and be like, oh, well, he's a Super Bowl champion. Like, we got there with him. So I'm actually, like, kind of thankful that we lost in that Super Bowl because it just kind of showed that we needed a new quarterback.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm going to say Cup for current Rams, but Isaac Bruce is a legend. Yeah, definitely. Jets are going to be the next year's Bengals. And it's really hard to tell because, like, some teams may not look the best on paper, but then, like, all of a sudden, like, the Bengals can just turn it around and make it there.
Is that guy's name something White who cooked us or something? Or
is
almost
it, like,
won
Mike White? Or no?
I don't know who it was, but I think he won, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he beat us, and he was balling out. Like, we played the Jets backup. I forgot what his name was.
White Lightning.
But he cooked us. Like, he was just... Oh my gosh, he looked amazing out there.
Losing to the Jets isn't fun. Just ask Rams fans who lost to Mike White. 405 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 picks.
Oh my gosh. And we weren't even that injured on the defense or anything like that. So he was smart, he was efficient. It was there he goes, Marcelo.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Do you think don't know if I'm scrolling far enough yet. Okay. Do you think AD should have won the MVP or is it right for Cooper Kupp? Donald's a good choice because he definitely helped us. I don't know if you yeah, he definitely got one sack before that last play because I remember he came like storming up the middle. For me though, I think Kupp kind of deserves it because it's like he's literally our last asset on the offense that we could go to. We couldn't run the ball at all. Our wide receivers were Skoranek and an injured Jefferson. And then like we didn't really like our tight ends, our backup tight ends stepped up for like what position they were, but like they weren't gonna carry the team. So it was like it was all in Cooper Kupp. He had 2 touchdowns in the game, and was just like if Cooper Kupp was injured in that game, I don't think we would have won, because of like all that time he spent with Stafford and he put the team on his back to end up winning. So I think they had it right. Let's see. Paleo Time says, Johnny, if the Rams make the Super Bowl next year and they played not the Bengals, will you cheer for them to win back-to-back? That's a good question.
That is a good question. It depends on who they're playing, I guess. But I feel like I will, but the hard thing is then if I cheer for them in the next one, if they're in it, I'd rather have them win that one and the Bengals win the one before that so that David and I could both win. But then if they just won 2, I'd be like, that's so cheap. I don't have any.
Yeah.
So
Come on.
I don't know. We'll see who they play, but depending on, I still really like Cooper Kupp and like Matthew Stafford. I'll root for those guys. So.
And if when Odell Beckham Jr. comes back, you like him.
I love Odell. Yeah.
Let's see. Jared Ramirez says, has Jared Goff been laughed at ever since being in Detroit and also in the Rams? It depends on who you mean. I've definitely been like showing my dad. I've been like, oh, look at this play that Jared Goff made. Like he threw a pick 6. I'm so glad we don't have him anymore. Like I'm appreciative of what he did for the Rams, but sometimes when I see plays like that or like super inaccurate throws, I'm like, it makes me so thankful that we have Stafford. I'm like, I can't believe this is what we had before. Let's see. Paradigm says, yeah, Mike White threw for over 400 yards. And then Mike White threw like 5 picks.
Yeah, that was so sad. I wanted to see him. And plus, I was like, okay, you've played like that against my team.
This is the best he's ever played.
Yeah.
It is against the Bengals.
It's crazy.
Okay. Jared Ramirez says Higbee or Blanton. It's a tough. It's lagging a little bit. I would say Higbee just because like when he's healthier, he plays really good. He's just kind of a weird player. But last season, he was injured and for a lot of it and like playing through injuries. But I think he's gonna be really good and he's really solid for us. But Blanton's definitely a really good second option. Let's see. Paytime says, personal question. John, you said you had to work delivery the day of the Super Bowl. How was that? Is there a story there?
There is. Oh my gosh, I was so upset about this. So, like, yeah, I had to work. I was trying to get off for like a couple weeks and it didn't happen. Luckily, my boss said I could leave at like halftime, so that was good. But I was like watching some of it in the car. Like after a delivery, I'd like watch it for a little bit and then start driving. So I go to this guy's house. It says leave it on the porch. So I get all this stuff out, leave it on the porch, run back to my car because the Bengals are in the red zone right now. And I'm hearing the game and it's like the play's just about to happen. And I see the customers walking up to my car. I was like, what's going on? So he comes up and they're like, hey, we didn't order pizza. And so I'm talking to them about like a wrong delivery or something like that for about 30 seconds. And by the time I looked down at my phone, I was like, what a touchdown. And I missed it. It was the Philly special that Mixon threw to Higgins, right?
Yeah.
Right? I can't even remember who it is because I didn't get to see the play. And then it even like showed the replay and like I was kind of looking down, looking at the customer, and like I missed the whole thing, even the replay. And I was like, what happened? And then so like David told me when I got back home like what happened. I was like, wait, Mixon threw a touchdown? And so like I missed that play. I was so mad. Like I had the customer like not mixed up the address or whatever, I would have been able to see that. And I really wanted to see that all season, like a Philly special, but that was kind of annoying.
Yeah, I was like, it was an annoying play because they were running with Mixon really well the whole drive, and then they threw a pass, and then he was like doing this celebration or whatever it is. And so I was annoyed at it, but I was also like, I respect that play. Like that was actually a smart play, but I wish you could have seen it. Like I could have been the one looking down, and then you could see it. Let's see. Well, let's scroll down again. Let's see. Thanks for your time. Keep it up. Thank you so much, Ethan, for stopping in. Somebody else says, I'm excited for a healthy Cam Akers, especially after seeing how he came back late in the season and was a workhorse. That bomb he dropped on Buda Baker was epic. Yeah, and then that catch that he made that Odell threw against the Cardinals. Yeah. I think that he's like a very versatile player, and he's not always the fastest, but he can make so many people miss with his jukes, which is what I've always liked about him. And like people were getting really critical about Akers, but I was like, he came off with torn Achilles in like just a few months, which is crazy in and of itself. But I think he'll be really good. Let's see. I actually have to ask you this question, Johnny. Do you think that Akers is better than Mixon? Like Akers before he got hurt, from what you saw, because sometimes you're not sure what you think about Mixon.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, like I keep telling David this, like I'm seeing Mixon play, and for me, I think it's just like the mistakes that he makes sometimes. Sometimes he just runs into his own guys or just runs into the defense. Like he doesn't really cut, and sometimes he does. And so for me, I was like, Mixon, what are you doing? But then he ends like the season with like I think a season high or a career high with like certain numbers and stuff. And I was really surprised because for some reason it didn't feel like he had that many. But Akers, like what David was showing me some replays and stuff of like his older clips, and he was really really good. So I honestly can't tell because I was confused about Mixon this season, and then it was a while since I watched those clips. But he's definitely really raw, and he's gonna give some good production, especially when he's healthier and he's got this whole off season to recover and practice, and it's gonna be awesome.
Well, yeah, and like one thing that I think about too is like they used him in the Wildcat, I think is what it's called. Yeah, they used him in that against the Packers, and he was like doing really good. And I think it's really cool to see like when they do that because Cam Akers can actually throw the ball really well. Like I'll just show you some of his highlights. But he can actually throw it really well, so I want to see like plays where he throws it. But also in the Wildcat, like against the Packers, he was running it up the middle, and there's like 8 yards to go, and he's like powering through everybody, like getting it through, and then he can throw it too. So like, I can't wait to see what he can
quick. Cam Akers is quick, and he can also do some power moves, like we saw in Buddha. Poor guy, but
oh yeah, sorry, Buddha.
Sorry,
he didn't even realize.
Like,
I don't know. It was like it's his fault.
Yeah.
Let's see. Will the LA Rams ever use Brandon Powell, punt returner, wide receiver, in any of their offensive plays? I mean, if it is, I don't think it'll be like that many plays, I guess I should say. Like, I really don't see it happening a lot because the Rams already have great depth at the wide receiver position. I think the only reason he would get time is because Stafford convinces him to come in because obviously he used to be on the lines. But I think punt returner is where he fits best.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jared Ramirez says, favorite kind of pizza to both of you and Johnny.
Ooh. Oh, you already know what yours is.
Yeah, I do. Do you have yours, or is it depending on the day? Or?
It depends on the day, so you can go first.
Okay, so this is going to sound really American and like not traditional. My favorite used to be like a pepperoni pizza, but then like I don't know. Now he introduced me to like this Alfredo style chicken pizza.
Yeah.
I really like that. 1 second, actually, I just realized Peo Time donated and it's about to disappear. So I want to thank him so much. Thank you so much, Peo Time, for that. I don't ask anybody to donate, but I definitely appreciate it. I'm gonna read this message real quick and then we'll get back into it. He says, thanks for the great stream. Keep up the great content, Johnny. Good luck to your Bengals. Also, Johnny, could I interview you for my move series?
Ooh, yeah.
That's actually, but yeah, like first Peo Time, I just want to say like sincerely, I do appreciate that because like, yeah, I know, right? What a guy. He's just a complete athlete.
He really is.
But like, I seriously do appreciate that because like doing this, just like talking Rams first with my brother, but also like just to you guys, it's like been such a blessing to be able to get paid for that and everything, and just like so generous of you to be able to do that. So thank you so much, Peo Time. Just such a nice guy. I love collaborating with you. Just from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Yeah.
But then as far as the move series goes, so that stands for most overly optimistic fan from every NFL team.
Okay.
So I did that. So he interviews you for all the games that you're going to play. He's going to ask you if you'll win or lose, how it goes. Okay. And then he'll get bi-week hot takes where he finds hot takes across the internet and then asks you, like, do you buy into this hot take or do you disagree? Okay. So it's a fun series. And obviously with the legend Peo Time, it's going to be a lot of fun.
I love that guy. What a man.
Yeah, so we can definitely get that hooked up, I think, if you want it. And then you can do it wherever. You can do it in the Rams house.
Oh, wow.
You can do it, wherever you want. Let's see. Where was I? Oh, yeah, here it is. So, did you ever say your favorite pizza?
Mine's like I like, honestly, plain cheese is really good. But anything like, I don't know, I eat a lot at Domino's. Sometimes we have like pizzas that people don't want anymore. So you get like, you can try a lot. But I definitely like the Alfredo sauce, chicken and bacon. That one's really good. I like the cheese one, and just kind of like simple ones. Yeah, I feel like I don't like people like Supreme a lot. I don't really like Supreme. I like it pretty simple, but any pizza's like pretty good. I like cheese a lot too. So
Let's see. This is Willie Bowen's take on what
Okay.
he thinks. He says Chicago-style deep dish pizza with ground beef and steak, red onions, portobello mushrooms,
Ooh.
green peppers, artichokes, plus extra mozzarella and provolone cheese. That actually,
that sounds
he's kind of
fun.
making me hungry, which
Yeah.
I'm a little mad about that, Willie Bowen, because I was trying not to stay or get hungry, but that sounds like a good meal.
It does.
Let's see. Paytime says, my pleasure and likewise collabs for years to come. Oh, yeah, definitely. It's been awesome just being able to like talk with you and like through text and stuff like that. Always talking about the Rams every day, but definitely been a blessing in my life. Let's see. Paytime says, sweet, we'll connect Johnny about an interview. Yeah, Johnny, if you want, I can like get like I have his contact, so I can give him your number or whatever you want to do. But I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to do that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's any questions. First off, if there's any questions you have for me, Johnny, you can ask them.
Okay.
I don't know if you do or not, but if you do, let me think if there's any other. Okay, this is one thing I'm gonna say. What player are you only just you can't pick like a position group, but what's the player you're most excited for on the offense and defense? I think I know the offense,
Offense is a tie between Burrow and Chase. Like
but
it's.
oh my God.
I know they like you were talking about they're gonna like figure out Chase and like playing better, but just
Mhm.
with more time on the offensive line,
Yeah.
it's just I don't know. It's gonna be so much fun. So either Burrow or Chase, and then on defense, I don't know. I really like Trey Hendrickson. I hope that he gets like a really good season because he deserves it. He doesn't really have too much help, but if not him, probably like Logan Wilson or something like that.
Yeah.
Our defense isn't elite, but
No, they
still-
can make plays though.
yeah, it's still pretty fun.
Let's see. Where was I? Oh yeah, if OBJ comes back, where do you think that leaves Jefferson? So that's a good question. I think Jefferson will be like coming in and out on the plays. OBJ, like if he does re-sign, which I really do think that he will, it says that he's supposed to be like coming back off of the injury at I think mid-November at the best case scenario, which I could see that happening because the Rams doctors are just really, really good. But I'd probably aim more towards like December time frame. So that still gives Jefferson a couple months to be playing well. And I think the Rams will figure out packages for him. And then obviously there's going to be subs of like players coming in and out because they're tired and stuff. So Jefferson, I still think he's going to be underrated. He had, I think, 800 yards last season. He caught a lot of deep balls too. And so I think that's kind of similarly like what we'll see this year. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see. Where was I? So Paytime says, so I'm not a huge pizza guy, but I enjoy OBJ, or I enjoy a barbecue grilled chicken pizza.
Ooh.
Have you ever tried one of those, Johnny, or like delivered any of those?
Yeah, I mean I've delivered some of them, tried some of them. Some people put like pineapple even on them too.
Ooh,
But
interesting.
barbecue, I do like a barbecue chicken pizza. I like it with the barbecue sauce, chicken, onions, maybe bacon on there, and maybe pineapple depending on what you're feeling. But those are really good.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds really good. It's like making me so hungry.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm gonna leave this one to Johnny to try to pronounce right here. What does that say?
Uh,
It says hi.
Dromedaria.
That's close. I feel like that should count. So I'm guessing he's watching from Brazil, which is awesome.
sick.
That's really cool. Like he says from Brazil. So it's just always really weird to me to think that like people are watching me from like all over the world, and like it's really weird to think of, especially like other countries, because like for me, I'm always like, yeah, they're all watching in Colorado. That's where I live. Like it's a smaller channel, so that's where they're watching. But it's weird. I've had people say like they're watching from Hawaii, Honolulu, like so all of these different places. It's really cool.
International.
And then obviously we have Peo Time, who's from who's in Canada, which is crazy. Let's see. He said since we just got Allen Robinson, yeah. So like, I don't know. I feel like it's really tough to see. Like I don't know what the chemistry will be like with Allen Robinson right off the bat, because Stafford isn't supposed to be throwing. Like he hasn't been throwing all off season because he's like recovering from the injuries. But I think like the time that I'll get with Allen Robinson will really pay off. I think he'll definitely have over 1,000 yards. But as far as Jefferson goes, I'll leave that up for McVay to scheme up and plan up early in the mornings. But he's definitely a really fun player to watch. And let me actually see his exact stats from last year. Bang! Let's see. Yeah, so he had 802 yards last season. I don't know why it's not really showing his touchdowns. Let's see. This picture. Here we go. 2021. So yeah, he had 802 yards, 6 touchdowns, which is actually really good. His longest was 79 yards, average 16 yards a catch. So yeah, he was definitely really good. And again, a lot of the times we see him on those deep post routes. We saw it, I think, against the Packers, saw it against the Cardinals, saw it against the Bears, saw it against the Texans. I think there's another team, but there's just a few of them. So I think he'll definitely. It's interesting because people don't look at him as a deep threat, but he gets open deep, and I think it's a lot of times because people go for the bigger name receivers like Cooper Kupp. Let's see. So do you have any questions for me, Johnny? Because I think we're all caught up on the comments right now, at least. And if you guys have any other questions, you can let me know.
I definitely do have a question. We were seeing with OBJ. In the last season, he was kind of tentative with some of the jump balls and some of the 50-50s and everything. And it just didn't really seem like classic Odell. And then we found out that he was like injured. He was playing on like a really badly like repaired ACL or whatever, however you want to say it.
Browns.
Yeah, just like it wasn't done right, and he was told that it could be injured like any time in the season. So, first of all, do you think that next season he'll come back like a lot stronger, going for those 50-50s, doing a lot? And like, how excited are you for that if he starts like balling out even harder?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Obviously, like seeing him get injured in the Super Bowl was really, really sad.
Yeah.
But they've talked about how that actually would help extend his career, which I'm really happy for him for. And then the expectation is definitely that we're gonna re-sign him, which is definitely has me excited because like first off, how are you gonna stop Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson, OBJ, Van Jefferson, Tyler? Like there's so many weapons. Then you can also run it too.
Yeah.
So that I think that gets me excited right off the bat. But Odell, like he already played great for us last year, and he had those hands to be able to catch anything, even in traffic.
Yeah.
So it just makes me excited to think of like when he comes back off the injury, and the Rams are really great at healing players and like making them come back stronger. Like Cooper Kupp tore his ACL in 2018 actually, and he came back stronger and faster. So it's like I think seeing him, it's gonna be really fun. And I've been seeing like on his Twitter all over the place, he's like talking about how people are doubting him and how he's like it only makes him more motivated to play. And so like it makes me really excited to think like OBJ's like he's mad and he's ready to come back. And so I think that will be really fun. And just like even more time with Stafford, like he came in middle of the year and just had to get it like the timing down right away, but he'll have more time to get that down. So I'm really excited to see that. Let's see. What are your thoughts on Stafford being ranked number 6, the 6th best QB? Also, do you guys feel we should be ranked higher than the number 5 team to win the Super Bowl? So for me, Stafford as a 6th quarterback. There's obviously great quarterback talent. I forgot if the metric was like talking about just from last season they're ranking them or just like in general ranking quarterbacks. But to me, I just feel like Stafford should be higher. I think Burrow might have been 4, or he might. Yeah, I think he was either 5 or 4, and so I was a little confused why Stafford was below higher him, like whatever you want to call that, because I was like
considered worse.
Yeah, considered worse because I was like, I mean, arguably like he played better in the Super Bowl and won them that, but like it's really hard to debate for me. I feel like just Stafford doesn't really get much love or gets talked about that much, so I don't know about that. I know for the number 5 team to win the Super Bowl, I thought that was kind of bogus because I was like, we just won. Like, they're even I've seen lists talking about like who's the best team from last year, and they have the Rams at like 3 or 4 and the Bucks at the top. And like they didn't like. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, John? If you have any.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like you're talking about the media has some favorites and stuff like that, and obviously Tom Brady is going to be like the one most talked about and the most like I don't know, highly valued and all that stuff. So I think they can definitely get it wrong. Like we saw with like the Warriors, I think they had the worst chance going into the playoffs to win everything, and then they like proved everybody wrong and stuff like that. So I don't know. Like I think the media just doesn't understand what they're looking at sometimes. But I will say like I don't know. It's hard because Stafford just joined the team and he was still doing really well. But I feel like Burrow near the end of the season had a cleaner and like more efficient season than Stafford did.
Yeah.
So like on the quarterback, I don't know. I still think like he was number 5 or number 6.
I think so. I know he was 1 below Stafford, so I think it was 5.
So I think even like Stafford being number 6 is still pretty good because there's I don't know
That's true.
more than 32 quarterbacks including backups and stuff. But I think I don't know. There's still pretty high numbers, but sometimes they disrespect the people who do well too. So I don't know.
because I know that Stafford is making mistakes and stuff and like throwing picks, but also like near the end of the year he was having less and less receivers to throw to and everything. And again, it's still his first year, but I do think that like it's really hard to debate like between Burrow and Stafford. It's kind of preference.
Yeah.
But I definitely really like the stat that like I think Stafford hasn't thrown an interception in the fourth quarter in like 14 games or I don't know. There's some crazy stat about that, and he's great at the comebacks too. So
that's insane.
Let's see if I can. I don't remember where the list was. This doesn't even look like the right article. I wanted to see who was above it, but there was some list talking about like last season's ranking, and they had like Mahomes over Burrow and like all this, and I was like, Mahomes started really bad. It's like I don't know. It's interesting.
And it does depend on like the metrics as you were talking about. Like, I don't know. You think about Mahomes, he started bad, but then he took the team to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so if you're talking about like grit, then yeah, he is pretty good, you know? So
yeah.
I don't know. It's definitely like metrics. Everybody has a different opinion, so depends.
I definitely disagree with them having the fifth best team to go to the Super Bowl next year, but again, there's a lot of good teams.
I feel like they're top 2.
Yeah.
Or top 3, like pushing it.
Yeah.
Because they're just super strong.
Yeah.
But I think it's just the whole like repeating thing. It's not very common, even if
That's
like
true.
they make it there.
But it's like even with the Bucks last year, after they won, everybody was saying they're gonna repeat. Like all the media, but it's like that favorite thing.
That's true. Yeah.
Let's see. Peo Time says, "I gotta go have a great slumber, Ramley, and everyone." Well, thank you for coming in, Peo Time. I hope you have a great slumber. I don't know how many slumbers away we are from the first game of the season, but definitely gonna be exciting. Jared Ramirez is leaving. He says, "Later, people. We're gonna be getting off here pretty soon too." But if you guys have any more questions, definitely let us know. Warb says, "Will this Stafford and Cup duo do well again? But the defenses will know how to block them." Sorry about my English. Oh no, you're good. I definitely think that they're gonna be like, even if it's not from a numbers standpoint, that like Stafford and Cup will be even better, because like they literally spend hours together even when they're not supposed to, or like they don't need to be doing that. Like they're always together figuring each other out. And like that goes a long way because it looked like they had the chemistry of like a duo who'd been together for 10 years in their first year. So I think that they will, again, it may not reflect in like Cup's numbers, but I think that they're still going to be dominant and they can like take over games. And then you add players like Robinson and stuff you have to worry about, and then Odell coming back. Like, I don't know how you're going to stop it.
I just don't see like Cooper Kupp being contained at any point.
Yeah.
Like I don't like Cooper Kupp just is just so smart as well as athletic.
Yeah.
And so I just don't see him like having a bad season. It just doesn't make sense to me. Even if people like double team him and stuff, which they already kind of do.
Yeah. And I want to check something. I know I've been looking up a lot of stats, but people always talk about how Cup wasn't really good before this. And this was just like a great season, which it was a great season. But he's been pretty productive throughout his career. Even he was like the number 3 receiver in some of our offenses before. So yeah, 2017 he had 869. That was his rookie year, 5 touchdowns with Goff, and then 566. That was the year that he got injured. 2019, which was our year that we didn't make the playoffs, he had 1,100 yards. 2020 he had 974, 3 touchdowns. And obviously this year he had 19,000 yards with 16 touchdowns. He was really dominant, 145 receptions. But with Goff, he always, even though he liked Cup, he always preferred Woods. Like that was his favorite target. Like Stafford has Cup. And so he still put up great numbers, and then we had like guys like Cooks over Cooper Kupp and Woods over Cooper Kupp. So he's like the third. He was kind of like Jefferson, but he's still productive and everything. So he's just been good for a while. I think he's going to remain consistent. And even I saw people double teaming him last year in that playoff run, and he was still getting open and still making dominant plays. And it's like if you see one play, there's usually a string of them, like one after another after another. So I definitely think he'll be good. If there's any more thoughts or any more questions for you, I'm trying to think of. If you guys have any more thoughts for him, then we'll wrap it up. I don't know if you have a question while I'll be thinking of one for me.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it a little bit, but what were your thoughts like going through your head in that Super Bowl play where T. Higgins like ripped the face mask of Jalen Ramsey?
Yeah.
Like how upset were you? And because I know you said it was a momentum changer, but I was just wondering like if you're just like, is that it or like?
Yeah. Well, like when I saw it real time, it looked to me that like Ramsey tripped and like played it wrong, and it looked like he had bad positioning. And then like T. Higgins just did it right and was able to make the play. I was like frustrated first off because I was like, like Burrow shouldn't be able to just to like run and throw it deep and just trust his guys because he was saying that all season, like just trust my guy or like F it. Chase is up there somewhere and he's gonna go get it. So I was like before the Super Bowl, I was like I'm excited about this because he can't just throw it up and trust his guy because we have Ramsey, but Ramsey didn't like have the best Super Bowl. So when I saw that, I was like, really, Joe? Like, you got lucky on that. You threw it deep and he was able to catch it. I was really mad about that. But then when I saw the replay, I was like, how is that, like, not pass interference? I know we're Rams fans. We did that to the Saints, but, like, let's just fudge the numbers there. We didn't do that. So, like, I was frustrated with that. And I could tell, like, again, it just took all the momentum away from us. Like, everybody just was kind of walking in slow motion after that, like, not, like, lethargic and everything. And then after seeing kind of how much of a struggle it had been to move the ball without Odell,
I
I honestly thought it was over. Because didn't that... I forgot what the score was at that point, but didn't they go up by 10?
I think it was by 7.
7?
Because I think we had taken we either... I can't remember. We either, like, had the lead at... I don't think we had the lead at half, though. Maybe we did. I gotta check.
Yeah, so it was like... I don't know. It felt like there was no offense after Odell left because that was literally our game plan was to get it to him. They couldn't... Like, we couldn't run the ball. And then, you know, we had some injuries all along that team. And so I was like, okay, I don't think we're going to be able to put together a drive and, like, be able to do this. Just because, I don't know. I know that we had Cooper Kupp, but they were able to just completely focus on him. Skoranek after that obviously had the pick. So it just felt like all the momentum was being taken by the Bengals.
Yeah.
And then again, Burrow was just, like, so calm, cool, and collected no matter what. That it looked like they were just completely like hogging the ball and controlling the game, whereas like it just felt over at that point to me. So I was frustrated, but again, there's a lot of what ifs.
Yeah, so it looks like it was 13-10 Rams at the half. So when they got a touchdown, it was 13-17.
Okay, see that like that's how much it felt like a momentum shift to me because it felt like they were up by 10 because like every score mattered and all we had was Kupp and Stafford to do it, which ended up being enough in the end. But I'm going to see if I can think of one more question for you, and then we can wrap it up.
Okay.
If you guys have any more questions to ask before we get off, you can in the comments. I appreciate everybody who's been here, even though he's a Bengals fan and everything like that, asking him questions, being kind to him. I know before the Super Bowl, some people were a little aggressive to him. But
gosh, I was like, relax.
Relax. But let me think if I can think of any other questions for the Bengals. So quiet.
While you're thinking, I could say overall super excited for like the next season because like again you had all those like off-season trades, so that's gonna be really interesting. But I don't know. I think like the Bengals are gonna be really strong this year. Hopefully there's no hangover, but they should be really strong. Then obviously the Rams are gonna be incredibly strong. So I think it's gonna be like shaping up to be another good season. And we'll see like where all the other teams land and. Also, like, people were saying, like, the Jaguars might get there, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you know, the Bengals before that were, like, they only had, like, 2 wins or something like that. And then the next season, 4 wins or whatever it was. Next season, you know, we go to the Super Bowl. So, it's going to be really exciting to see what all happens around the league. I think it's going to be... I'm just really excited.
Yeah. So, I have kind of 2 questions here.
Okay.
What do you think is going to be the most improved player this year on your whole team? You can like have a little bit of time to think about it, but what's a guy that you're like he was pretty good last year, but I think he's gonna step up, or even he was elite last year, but he'll be even better.
Okay.
What's the most improved player do you think that'll be noticeable?
I think like there's a few players I can think of, like, you know, people like Mike Hilton and like Von Bell. They didn't really have too many interceptions, and they had a couple like to them, or I don't know. I feel like they could just do a little bit better, but they still did really well.
Yeah.
Those people I think of like right away, but I think again with Mixon, hopefully that the holes will just open up for them with our offensive line, and Mixon's just gonna build off of what he did last year, and hopefully just have like a really like an even better season, because he was already good last season. But I think just with the offensive line, he's going to get more help, and he's not going to have to do it all by himself.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking.
Okay, so now this is the next question. Who do you think is going to take a step down, or I guess regress from last year, even if it's someone like Eli Apple?
Yeah, I hope it's not Eli Apple, because he was... I mean, I was looking back at some highlights, and Eli Apple, people were making fun of him and stuff, and he did pretty bad in the Super Bowl near the end, but... honestly, like, he actually had some really timely picks and deflections and stuff like that changed the whole game of some of these games. So, you know, even if like love him or hate him or hate on him, whatever, I was realizing he actually like played a good part.
Yeah.
But taking a step down.
It's a tough question. It's a hard one because you don't want to say like a player's gonna do worse.
I know.
And if you can't think of anybody, that's fine too. Just didn't know if there's anybody obvious to you or something.
Well, it's interesting because it might be like, because I think we got 3. We traded for 3 really good offensive linemen, and then I think we either drafted another offensive lineman or we got another one somewhere. Yeah. And so I think that we're gonna have like one offensive lineman that we had last year.
Yeah.
In that lineup, so maybe he'll take a step down because everyone else is better.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, oh. Well, I honestly have no idea. It's kind of a hard question.
Yeah, it is definitely a hard question, and it's like you don't want to act like you're targeting a player because you don't like them.
Yeah.
Let's see. Johnny Ripple has one thing to say here before we go. He says, the last QB to lose their first Super Bowl appearance, then came back to win when their career was 25 years ago. The odds of Burrow coming back with the Bengals is very slim. I mean, I don't know. I feel like, again, he's such a good competitor, and even without a super great supporting cast, he was able to bring them to the Super Bowl and almost win it.
Yeah.
Like, he got so close to doing that. And then, again, he's really competitive. He's always going to come fighting. He just seems like one of those guys, like, I know he's been compared to Brady a lot, but I can, like, see that a lot in the way he just is always there, like, coming back. He's always has a big chance of coming back, too. And so, I don't know. It kind of depends on where the NFL goes the next, 10 years or so, like, what teams do, and if the Bengals, like, get better or not. But I think that with Burrow, you're always going to have a chance.
Yeah. No, I think it's the same thing. It's dependent a lot on like the person, the leader of your team, which is normally the quarterback. And so like, I don't know, with Burrow, he definitely just has like a different mentality than a lot of quarterbacks I've seen. And so who knows, maybe if we don't even get to the Super Bowl, I think we can get to the playoffs again next year and stuff. So as long as we're having like success, I'll be happy, I guess. But I think we'll make it back at some point. Will it be next year? I don't know. I really hope so, but yeah, we'll have to see.
But yeah, Johnny, thank you so much for coming on here. It's always a blast to do these streams. Like, it feels like it had only been like 10 minutes that we're doing this. I was like, oh shoot, it's like an hour, 20 minutes. But definitely we should do this more in some sort of capacity. I know you're going to be on Pair Times Move series, which will be fun. But yeah, like, thank you so much for coming on and being respectful and everything. Obviously, you're not going to get raging mad because you lost the Super Bowl, but always so cool. And obviously, like, you're great on camera, too, for not even having a channel. Like, I mean,
thank you.
Maybe he should be creating a channel called The Bengals then. I don't know.
I should.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
This was fun. And again, like, the comments and stuff were, like, very, like, polite and stuff like that. And so I always appreciate that because I'm not looking for, like, any fights or anything. And so it's always nice when people, like, reciprocate that. So yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thank you for doing this. And thank you all for all the people who just came in and liked the video, and for the people again who are just in here watching or commenting or like Payo Time who super chatted like that. All the stuff that you guys do, even if it's just little stuff, just makes my day. Like, even if there's just a few people watching, it's definitely always fun to be able to talk Rams with you guys, and in this case Rams and Bengals. But I hope you guys have a good one. It's been fun to do this, and I'll see you in the next video.